Hi students, welcome to lesson number 15, Samuel Krislov and Donald Kingsley's representative bureaucracy. Objectives of this lesson: you will be able to understand the life and career of Samuel Krislov and Donald Kingsley, to explain propositions of representative bureaucracy, to understand the significance of representative bureaucracy, to describe relevance and impact of representative bureaucracy, to evaluate the reservations as an instrument for representative bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is an instrument and means of public administration, but because of its durable, stable nature and expertise, it becomes a source of authority and power in the state. The political executive cannot do any governmental work without the help of bureaucracy. The citizens have more contacts with the participants of the political executive. The political democracy involves the elements of responsiveness, responsibility and representativeness for the bureaucracy. The first two elements have been realized, but the representativeness is difficult to realize. The factors in the sociological composition and economical structure of the society underline the environment for its realization. Bureaucracy, as an organized, systematic institution of the state, as a part of the democratic political structure, has come into the existence first in the Western countries and later in other polities. Why representative bureaucracy? The plea for representative bureaucracy is advanced on several grounds. 1. Bureaucracy is an instrument or organ of government. A genuine democracy ought to have a representative legislature or parliament, a representative executive, that is ministry, and also a representative bureaucracy, that is civil service. Without the bureaucracy being representative, the country's political system would not be entirely democratic, because all the laws and rules and policies of the government are finally put into action by the bureaucracy or civil service. 2. Bureaucracy to be representative is that the welfare and development functions meant for the poorer or disadvantaged sections of the society would not be fulfilled to the satisfaction of these sections of the society unless the elements belonging to the poorer section handle those functions. This is the same ground on which a modern legislature or a modern executive is constituted to be essentially representative of the entire adult population in the country. 3. Representative bureaucracy advanced in Britain during the interwar and post Second World War years, and in India after independence, is based on the need for a harmonious or at least a congenial relationship between the political elements, including ministers and that higher level civil servants. The ministers and legislators in a democracy tend to come from lower economic or social sections in larger number progressively at successive elections to parliament or legislature or local governments. Further, their advice to the political executive would be narrow in range. A crisis of understanding arising out of lack of identity of views and outlook might develop between the political executive, and it is also representatives, and the civil servants. The possibility of disloyalty of the higher civil servants to the political executive may be far away, but occasion of differences of opinion and at times of conflict are a distinct possibility. The political and administrative literature both in Britain and India has recorded several instances of such disharmony between political executive and the higher civil servants. Samuel Krislov and Donald Kingsley's representative bureaucracy is a notion that broad social groups should have spokesmen and office holders in the administrative as well as political positions. With this notion, representative bureaucracy is a form of representation that captures all aspects of society's population in the governing body of the state. Representative bureaucracy can enhance the perceived performance and fairness. Samuel Krislov's representative bureaucracy is one of the most enduring books in the public administration, intersecting with political science. He based his theory on Donald Kingsley's 1944 book by the same title, stating that public bureaucrats can be representative of political institutions. The major propositions of representative bureaucracy given by Rosen Lindblom in the preface of the book Representative Bureaucracy by Samuel Krislov are as: 1. The composition of a country's civil service is any issue of interest to all. 2. It is a major vehicle for social change with the occupation of positions in public bureaucracies by minority groups as reflected in the policy outcomes. 3. Bureaucracy is representative in the following two ways: A. In composition and selection method. B. In judging the terms of the results by public opinion. 4. Although the bureaucracies cannot represent every group of the society, it is more representative than the other wings of the government. 5. The human potentialities which the bureaucrats bring along to their job are inevitable and advantageous. Samuel Krislov was born in Cleveland, USA in 1929. He completed his bachelor's degree from New York University in 1951. Master of Arts from New York University in 1952 and Doctor of Philosophy PhD from Princeton University in 1955. He pursued teaching at the University of Oklahoma, Michigan University and Columbia University. He has published on regulations, processes, and administrative law. Samuel Krislov is known primarily in the field of public administration for his application of the concept of representative bureaucracy, which was published in 1974 to special problems of race and ethnicity as a key social problems. Kingsley was born in Cambridge, New York in 1908. He received BA degree in 1929, completed MA degree in 1930. He completed his PhD and earlier degrees at Syracuse University. After postdoctoral work at the University of London, he joined Antico College as a professor of government until 1942. He published his revised thesis as a representative bureaucracy. At the Second World War, he served the War Manpower Commission and Office of War Mobilization. He directed operations of the United Nations Korean Reconstruction Agency after heading the Ford Foundation's program in the Middle East and Africa. The concept of representative bureaucracy has been developed for the first time by Donald Kingsley. In fact, the term representative bureaucracy was coined by him. His book Representative Bureaucracy was published in 1944. Kingsley had studied at London School of Economics with William Robson and Harold Lasky. Therefore, we found on him an influence Robson and Lasky. All these three analyzed and interpreted bureaucratic structure along class lines. Kingsley's arguments in favor of representative bureaucracy was that representative bureaucracy is necessary because there must be some administrators sympathetic to the various sections and classes of society, those who are not represented in the bureaucratic structure for one reason or another. His arguments is that only the representative bureaucracy is likely to respond to changes in political current situations. A non-representative structure will sabotage the demands of the party whose programs are at odds with the class from which the bureaucracy is drawn. However, one will find the concept of the representative bureaucracy as developed by Kingsley in a very general way. Samuel Krislov, who is a professor from the American University, has studied the issues in the representative bureaucracy in the context of American civil services. In fact, the book entitled The Negro in Federal Employment has given him to write on the conceptual aspects of representative bureaucracy. So, this work was published in 1974. To write on representative bureaucracy in the context of American civil service, one is expected to know the historical development of civil services in America and the reforms in civil service. The issue of representative bureaucracy in America has been dramatized by the issue of block rights supported by human rights and also Red Indians. Several writers and agencies who were against the movements have extended their support in favor of the minority organizations. Thus, the concept of representative bureaucracy developed by less elite and less class biased civil service servants. American society with the different lines of division like race, ethnicity and sex have become even more relevant to their class. Krislov, in his book Representative Bureaucracy, has examined the emergence of the concept and the dilemma in context of the American civil services. The history of American civil services as a peculiar characteristics. It was started with the spoil system but replaced it by merit system. The merit system has been revoked since 1883, the year of passing the Pendleton Act. Discrimination was outlawed by executive regulations in 1940 with the result that in the percentage of blacks entering into American civil service, though blacks for years have been employed disproportionately. In 1972, Negroes constituted 15% of all federal employees. This apart, there has been a unproportionate representation of that Mexican Americans, Red Indians, Orientals, Eskimos and Spanish. The figures indicated the position of the portion of that minority group employees in 1971 as 15% for blacks, 2.9% for Spanish, 0.7% for American Indians and 0.8% Oriental Americans. Again, to know the position of representativeness in American civil services, figures from Public Administration Review, volume 27, December 1967, about social characteristics and race. As the religious wise, Protestants 61%, Catholics 31%, Jewish 5%, others 4%, and race with white 79%, non-white 21%. These figures indicate the position of representativeness of persons in ethnic and racial ground. This part for a quite long time there has been a discrimination of representativeness of women in federal civil services of America. The outstanding act was, however, lack of personality in federal service. However, the employment of women was not widespread until the Treasury Department began extensively review of female clerks in between 1960s. Subsequently, legislation was passed in 1964 permitting for women employment, but about half of the males. With passing of the Pendleton Act 1883, women were presently equal in the American civil services. Donald Kingsley's views of American bureaucracy as a model of representativeness of American civil service undoubtedly has been considered a valuable contribution. Bureaucracy was both class, ethnic and gender bias at the time he wrote, but American political system has moved the cases to the crossed form of bias. The efforts have been both to increase total participation by various groups and to augment members in the higher decision making. At the same time, the continuously stamping with the principles of merit as it's a danger too. The system of reservation in India was introduced to uplift the historically disadvantaged sections of Indian society, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, other backward classes, economically backward classes are provided opportunities by providing them reservations in legislature and government jobs, promotions, educational scholarships, etc. The reservations of the percentage in higher educational institutions stands at 49.5%. The system of reservations existed in India even before independence. Post independence, the system of reservations was framed by the Constituent Assembly, which was chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Initially, it was introduced for a time span of 10 years. Post 10 years period, the legislatures of that India found the necessity to continue the system of the reservation to overcome many years of social and cultural discrimination of certain sections of the society. Reservations were put in place in the Indian Constitution immediately after the independence as means to recognize the historical injustice meted out to the people belonging to backward groups and to implement provisions by which they would have better access to the resources and opportunities. The reservations in India were introduced to rectify the past and historical injustice against the backward classes in India, to ensure that equal representation can be seen from people belonging to all castes in the services under the state and center, to provide an equal platform for everyone irrespective of their caste, to promote and advance the backward classes. The distribution of reservation quota in India for applicants for government jobs or higher educational institutions such as scheduled caste 15%, scheduled tribe 7.5%, other backward classes 27%, economically weaker sections 10%, with the benchmark disabilities 4%. The representative bureaucracy makes a modest contribution to the stability of the political institutions by ensuring that the general feeling and interest of all groups are taken into consideration by the bureaucracy while formulating policies and implementing them. But the fact that bureaucratic representativeness to public is influenced less by the representative character and more by other factors should not be overlooked. Thank you.